But beta-glucuronidase is an enzyme that gut bacteria make. And what this does is it makes your body recycle some things so you don't have to start from scratch. It has a huge role in detoxification, right? And everybody hears about detoxification. A lot of people don't really understand the full extent of what detoxification actually means. And it's a conversion process. Your liver, think about your liver as this huge converter. It's changing lots of things. It changes your hormones. Even when you take an antibiotic and you kill bacteria, you have things that have to be filtered through the liver, but a lot of this stuff ends up in the gut, right? Anything that gets converted in the liver, like a lot of your toxins are actually in your bile. That's one of the secretions that's secreted into the stool or into your colon, and that's how you get rid of it. So digestion is critical to detoxification, but the gut bacteria, if the gut bacteria is not balanced, and let's say you're having one of these enzymes like beta-glucuronidase, you recycle that. So you're doing all this extra load on yourself. So, I know the new year's coming up. People are going to be making these dietary changes. People are going to be doing their cleanses. It's good to get the right testing to understand what's going on in the gut, especially if you've had long-term issues, right? Some examples of gut issues that aren't necessarily going to be connected to the typical digestive symptoms that people have, like gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, right? Outside of any of that stuff, acid reflux, heartburn, you can have skin issues, you can have brain fog, you can have flares in autoimmunity, you can have hormone dysregulation, poor concentration, poor focus, disruption in your memory. You can start having, as for a woman, you can have massive fluctuations in your cycle. It makes perimenopause and menopause symptoms worse. It can make fertility almost impossible, reoccurring miscarriages. We're seeing this with so many different things. Matter of fact, last night I was doing a live and I had a full conversation on someone else's platform, and it was about autism and autism spectrum disorders. And there is a bi-directional relationship between autism spectrum disorders, ADD, ADHD, hyperactivity, even oppositional defiance disorder. We're seeing all these things, lots and lots of different issues that are spawning in the gut. So if you have any questions about gut health, throw them in there. If it's something I can speak to, I will. And for those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Dr. Dan Kellams. I am a doctor of Chinese medicine with a specialty in integrative medicine. I actually have an integrative medical team, which is really awesome. They bring the medical side, I bring the natural medicine and the science together, and we work with people to develop individual plans that focus on natural health. And so what we'll do with the labs is understand what's going on truly. So Stephanie said, love this. I take gut products. Good. I recommend everybody take gut health products. It's really, they can massively, even just getting gut support, right? In anything you eat, you're feeding the bacteria in your gut. That's a critical understanding, right? It's a critical piece. Everything that you eat, something else is eating that for a large majority of what you eat. So you want to be thinking about what you're feeding. What are you actually providing the bacteria in your gut with? But back to that beta-glucuronidase, right? So this is something we've seen with really severe endometriosis, bleeding in between cycles for women. We see aromatization of testosterone into estrogen more with men. So, men will start putting weight on their hips. And a lot of times when you're just not getting gains or you're not losing weight the way you need to, a lot of these things can go back to the gut. Matter of fact, I'll tell you how important the gut is for metabolism. I could probably just do a whole presentation on this. All the new medications that you're seeing, Ozempic and Wegovy and Mounjaro and all these semaglutide and tirzepatide, retatrutide, all these GLP, GIP, and glucagon agonists, what they're doing is they're stimulating a lot of different things that actually come from the gut. You have these cells in your gut called L cells, the letter L, and they're the ones that make GLP-1. Like, when I don't know how many of you have ever tried like lemon juice in the morning. A lot of people are like, it's good for your metabolism. There's very, very, if no clinical research show that helps. But one thing that is really interesting is there is a compound in lemon juice and in the rind called eryocitrin. And eryocitrin, what it does is it stimulates the L cells to produce GLP-1. So it's actually a really good thing that you can do to just kind of give your body a little bit of a boost. But I say, when it comes to your health and your health goals, stack everything in your favor as much as possible, right? Stack the odds in your favor. So like little things like that can help. You wouldn't want to be pounding a bunch of lemon juice, but it can be, man, it can be a game changer when you get your gut on your side. Doesn't matter what we're talking about. You want to have better brain power, you want to improve your memory, get your gut on your side. Because when you get your gut on your side, you know what else comes with that? Your immune system, right? There's a huge correlation and a very tight relationship between the gut and the immune system. And that's why this is such a really key piece, right? Matter of fact, almost 70% of your immune cells are in your gut. And the reason that is your gut has all this, you have something called the GALT, which is the gut-associated lymphoid tissue. So you have all this lymphatic tissue where your white blood cells are circulating all through your gut. But it makes sense, right? You got bacteria in your gut. You want them to stay there. We don't want gut bacteria anywhere else. We want it in the gut. We want waste. Anything that's in your stool, we want to keep that in the gut. Like I said, when you're detoxifying, this stuff is going into your gut. You're gonna get rid of waste product 3 ways, right? And you can say 4. You get a little bit through your breath, but through your kidneys, so you urinate it out, you sweat it out, and a large majority is the gut. And so we want what we're trying to get rid of to stay in the lumen of the gut so we can get rid of it. We do not want it on the other side. We also have to have this immune control so that we don't absorb compounds that we're not supposed to have, and that we have a proper response to our foods, right? So that's why you have all this immune system surrounding the gut. And that's a barrier. Your immune system is your immunological barrier. It's one of the things that keeps stuff in the gut. That's where we want it. And if it goes anywhere else, that's going to be a real problem, right? It can create some real systemic issues for people. So if you have any questions on that, pop it in there. But there's a few things that we can do to keep that gut barrier tight, right? You've heard the term leaky gut. I had a comment, like I said, I was on a platform last night and people were asking, is leaky gut a real thing? Well, we have good research that there's increased permeability, and that's what that is. We call it hyperpermeability. And if you have any autoimmunity against your gut, you can have 2 forms of hyperpermeability. You can have what's called paracellular and transcellular. Now, I've talked to a lot of you before about this, and for some reason, this isn't showing me questions. Guys, I just saw this. I see a lot of people asking questions. I apologize. Amy said, my husband was suffering from IBS for the last 10 years. He's not getting any better with the anxiety meds. IBS can be caused from a lot of different stuff, Amy. I apologize, guys. None of those things were loading. IBS can be caused from you're not excreting enough bile into the stomach. You're not reabsorbing it. It can be the bacteria in the gut. It's not supposed to be there, like something like SIBO. So a good test like GI-FX, amazing for that. Autumn says, best brand of probiotic. You know what? I don't look at the brand. The main thing about your gut, I want everybody to lock this in, is diversity of bacterial species. So what you want to do is when you take a probiotic, take it for a little bit, change it up. Constantly change up your probiotics. Stephanie said, I had sleep apnea, overweight, restless leg syndrome, high cholesterol, acid reflux, all now gone. Awesome. Yeah, Plexus is not bad. I mean, I haven't seen any clinical outcomes with it. I've heard people talk about it. So I only have subjective data on that. Some people said seed's good. Oh my God, Donald Trump has nothing to do with our guts. Maybe that could be really interesting. I think it's time for me to change it up. Yeah, change that stuff up. One of the best ways, right? So we're talking about gut bacteria. To some bacteria you can't take. Most gut bacteria you can't take. And if you guys want me to explain why, I will tell you. But you have to feed most of the species in your gut. And so diversity of fiber, I talk about this a lot. So diversity of fiber and all the different colors in your fruits and vegetables. That's what you want. Those are polyphenols. Those are the non-nutrient aspect of a plant. And what those things do is they feed gut bacteria. So this combination of all these chemicals that create color, those are your polyphenols, your flavonoids, isoflavonoids, coumarins, tannins, all these different things are all in the polyphenol class. So this combination of those with fiber is what feeds gut bacteria. And that's why diversity of species is our diversity of fiber and color is so critical for diversity of species. And the reason the diversity of species is so critical for your health is that they all have a different role to play. So some of them make dopamine, some of them make serotonin, some of them make GABA. Some species will eat GABA, so you're more likely to have anxiety. So, and that's just one part. You have these neuropeptides that heal the brain too. Autumn asked, do you recommend taking a probiotic and a digestive enzyme at the same time? Yeah, you can. They do completely different things, right? So when we're talking about the digestive system, we have a top to bottom, right? I got to stand up and talk about this one. So digestive enzymes are what the pancreas produce, and you get a little bit in your saliva. Those pancreatic enzymes, they mainly are breaking down carbohydrates, fibers. You get some proteolytic and lipolytic enzymes in the pancreas. I recommend, Autumn, I recommend taking a digestive support that has all the digestive secretions, right? So stomach acid. You want to make sure you have healthy acidity in the stomach. People think about that all the time. By the way, guys, there is a leaf blower outside my window. I don't know what this guy, he loves playing with this thing. So if you hear him come by and he just stands here, he's just having a lot of fun out there. Tried to run him off. But so the stomach acid, we also have our bile acids, right? That breaks down fat. So stomach acid is proteins mostly. Bile is going to be your fats, and the pancreatic enzymes, a large majority, is going to be your carbohydrates. So that's to break down your food, emulsify it so you can absorb it. And then you take your probiotic to improve the diversity of your gut bacteria. And then you have prebiotics that feed the bacteria. And a lot of people confuse enzymes with probiotics. They're completely different. They have one's a living species, one just improves a chemical process. So good question. So yeah, we want to make sure we have those things. But like I said, the diversity of those species, that is what's going to really get our gut healthy. But that's when you start to see changes in the rest of our immune system. The reason the gut has such a huge role on the immune system is one of the postbiotics that your gut make is something called butyrate. Has anyone heard of butyrate? Now you get a little bit of butyrate in like grass-fed butter. You'll get it in grass-fed beef, certain things. But what happens is the best place to get it is gut bacteria make it when you consume enough fiber and polyphenols. Exactly, Ian, short chain fatty acids. And the best one is butyrate. It's the one that seems to be, but we need three: butyrate, acetate, and propionate. These are all really critical. But I will tell you, if your butyrate's off, you're more likely to have immune dysregulation. It's one of the key components for helping someone naturally to regulate their immune system and help get some control over autoimmunity if you can. But the others have to be balanced too. They all have their role. Everything has its role. And I don't want you to get in this idea that you have bad bacteria. Everybody thinks, there's some bacteria that's bad, but there's some good. And everybody who's if you've never been on my channel, if you're new to my channel, my name's Dr. Dan Kellams. I'm a doctor of Chinese medicine with a specialty in integrative medicine. That's actually what my doctoral thesis was actually on gut and gut autoimmunity. And I actually have a full integrative team. We do a lot of research, but I have a full medical staff. They bring in the medical aspect, and then I bring in the natural medicine aspect with the science, and that's what we do. That's Peak Vitality. We're also at Tucson Wellness in Arizona. If you are looking for help, if you have some questions, or if you want to learn a little bit more about what we do, if we can help you, or just get some free information, you can click on the link in the bio. And I have links to free webinars. I get in depth. I feel knowledge is power. I want to make sure you have that. So you can make informed decisions of what you're doing. But you can also click a link to book an appointment with my staff to do just a discovery call. If you've been having issues, whether it's chronic gut issues, if it's, autoimmune issues, you've been having hormone issues, we do a lot of infertility. I mean, all this stuff is connected. That's why we work so hard on it. AC, welcome in. Happy to have you. Glad you're loving the information. So we have been talking about the immune system aspect. That's what majority of our conversation's been here recently. So that's butyrate, these short chain fatty acids, but not just that, right? If the gut is irritated, you have massive amounts of surface area in your gut, right? I mean, it's estimated that your intestinal tract has the surface area of like half of a tennis court, right? So think about if it's inflamed or if it's not taken care of, that's a lot of area to piss off, right? That is really serious. We don't want that. Elizabeth said, neuropathy in feet. It's excruciating to walk. It's numb. Yeah, you're having a demyelination effect, right? So those nerves are breaking down. The unfortunate thing is once you start the healing process, if you can get those things to heal, you're going to go back through some of that. Just keep that in mind. There are some options. What you want to do, there's a lot of different things that interfere with nerves. You want to make sure that your inflammation's low. You want to make sure that you have good circulation, or as far as your blood status, you got to have good blood pressure, and you don't want to have any anemia. You need to make sure your blood sugar is under control. Those are your tops. You also want to cut out plastics. There's some research on neuropathy and neurodegeneration that has cross-reactivity to plastic. So you can start with some basics like that. Clean up the diet. I'd recommend you to go to ewg.org, ewg.org. I've talked about this the other day. They have an app called Healthy Living, and they help you look at all your foods and your cleaning products and your water sources. And this is what the app looks like, everybody. Healthy Living. It's this green app right here. It's a free app. I don't know where the camera is on my other thing. So if you're on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, that's the Healthy Living app. So when you get that app, you can go through and look at everything and make sure that there's nothing that you're eating that or you're consuming or putting on your body that's contributing to that. So that can really help. Let's see. Christy says, first time here, can't stay long, but thanks for talking about these things. Your bet, Christy. Give us a follow. Anybody on here brand new? Give us a follow. I'm on here just about daily talking about information. A little new here. I'm a little slow to get started on TikTok and all the social media, but let's see. I say a lot with diabetic clients. Yeah, that's a big thing, right? Thanks for the rose, Elizabeth. Butterfly, how do we lower cortisol inflammation? Are they related? Absolutely. Long-term cortisol suppresses the immune system, right? I mean, that's what it does at first. It has its role. It's supposed to be there to help the immune system. You don't want it too low, but you don't want it too high. Cortisol gets a bad rep. One of the first things that you can do is, one, make sure everything that you're doing is on a regular schedule. You're eating, you're sleeping, and when you have activity, try to have a schedule. It's really important for your circadian rhythm and your cortisol. That's a pituitary thing. The cortisol dominates your biological clock. The next thing is to get it properly regulated. If it's too high, you can look at things like ashwagandha and rhodiola. That's what most of our clients have found that works for them. Those are pretty generic. It's best to get it tested before you use those, but they can really help. Those are some of my favorites. And something simple is like fish oil. Fish oil and omega fatty acids are really good. Just, make sure you're not taking any other medications that can have some cross-reactivity with those. So good question. Chamomile. Hey, chamomile, it's good to see you again. I've been trying to heal my leaky gut for a couple of years now. Yeah, it's tough because we all try these strategies to try to hit something. But what I always say is, especially when it gets difficult, right, is if you don't really know what you're going after, because there's so many things that can cause leaky gut. I'll have a graphic. Maybe tomorrow I can do that. Lisa or Carrie, if you're on here, will you send me a message tomorrow we talk about all the mechanisms of leaky gut? That would be awesome. And we'll talk about that. That'll help you out. Cajun, first time here. Had a teen with ADHD, constant stomach ache and reflux. Where should we start? I would say, if you haven't tried simply just cleaning up the diet, just going with a whole foods diet, that would be step one. And making sure that your child is eating slowly and don't drink a bunch of fluid when they're eating. That starts to calm down, allow the body to adjust to absorb the minerals and vitamins that can help with neurotransmitter production. It also makes it easier on the gut so we don't have an inflammatory process. Next step would be you could try some simple probiotics. The next thing past that is I would get that gut tested. That would be the GI effects. If you need help with that, I have and I'm actually putting together a new webinar. I got requested from a school in Colorado because we've had so many kids there that have changed their behavior off of cleaning up their gut, but we got the right testing. That was a really, really key piece. So we can do that. Carrie, thanks for sending that to me. Get that testing, but I'd start first. Whole foods diet, probiotic, make sure the child's not eating too fast, chewing their food really good, not drinking a bunch of water. That's going to help a lot of different things. It's overwhelming how powerful that can be. And then get the right testing. That would be helpful. Okay. Let's see. Good question. Jennifer said, did you mention a particular probiotic? I don't. I usually tell people not to get caught up on a probiotic. There's a lot of brands. I prefer soil-based organisms because they have a little bit more surface adhesion. I like to use high quality. Prescript Assist is a really good one. Also, like Yarrow is a good brand. But the main thing with your probiotics is to switch them up. You don't want to stay on one probiotic for a long term, Jennifer. You want to change that up so much. So welcome everybody in. I got a lot of new names I've never seen before. So welcome into the room. Click on the link, give us a follow. Give us a like if you're enjoying what you're hearing. Got a lot of information on our website. If you click on the link in our bio, a lot of free webinars on there, and you can also book an appointment if you feel like you need some help. AC said, what are your thoughts on the ketogenic diet? I think it has its place. I think there's a lot of diets. If you're on any of the other platforms, we're getting a question from TikTok about the ketogenic diet. So on a ketogenic diet, it can be very beneficial. We use it for specific cases like really aggressive cancers, neurodegeneration, because it's given the brain another fuel source. There's some really good research about a large majority of drug-resistant epilepsy can be calmed down through a ketogenic diet. Some people can't maintain it. And I actually have a gene called a FOXO1 gene. And my genes, if I have too much saturated fat, it actually spikes my insulin. So it has a little bit of a different change. So it can be very beneficial. I just really monitor any diet that we put somebody on. We run their lab, see how they did with it. But it can be an amazing diet for people. But I like using it specifically. How effective is Saccharomyces boulardii for leaky gut? It helps. Depends on what's causing the leaky gut. But it helps balance out invasive species, and it does help some tight junction protein synthesis. But if there's a lot of excessive oxidative stress, if someone's stress is high, if they have micronutrient deficiencies, if there's neurodegeneration, I mean, like I said, it's a helper, right? All these things help. We want to stack advantages as much as possible. It can be beneficial. It doesn't hurt. I've never seen anybody have a problem with Saccharomyces boulardii. And for anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, Ian asked about, I think is that Yanni? Am I saying your name wrong? I see the I-A-N. I just want to, Yanni J. Give me some help there. Maybe put it out there phonetically so I don't slaughter your name. But Saccharomyces boulardii is beneficial yeast, and it's really helpful for people. Great question. Lonnie J? Is that right? Lonnie J? Thanks for working with me. Sometimes this brain of mine just doesn't work. You look at a word sometimes, you're like, I don't even know how to say that. But so it's Saccharomyces. It's SACC. That's how you start to spell Saccharomyces. And then boulardii. Yeah. Thanks. Cydia says, my son is 17. He has autoimmune disease. We don't know. Autoimmune disease, and we don't know which one yet. Yeah. So, you still want to work with primary care. You want to see what's going on. Autoimmune can be very destructive. There's usually 3 phases of autoimmunity. There's going to be a silent, where you have antibodies, but no symptoms, no reactivity, no tissue destruction. And then there's reactive, where you're starting to get some symptoms. And then full autoimmune disease is where you have the antibodies, you have symptoms, and there's active tissue destruction. And that's concerning, because what's the tissue? And you want to always keep an eye on it. There's never been a Nobel Prize for anybody who's ever cured autoimmunity, but you can help it. You can get it under control. You can minimize the effect. From a natural medicine standpoint, what we want to do is 2 things. You want to remove all the triggers that are, just irritating the immune system to get chronically active, right? The next thing we want to do is give the immune system some support. I always say, you guys will hear me say so many times, the body needs the things that it has to have to do its job, and you want to make sure it has that. So with autoimmunity, the first thing you can do is start eliminating triggers. It could be chemical triggers, could be microbial triggers like virus, could be bacteria in the gut. We find that a lot. And earlier I was talking about the metabolites in the gut, the short chain fatty acids that regulate the immune system. It's a key piece for immune regulation. But start with trying to identify inflammatory triggers. That's always a great place to start. Great questions. So we're kind of all over the place. We've been talking about autoimmunity. We've been talking about gut. We've been talking about hormones, the brain. We've been talking about probiotics, beneficial yeast. I love Saccharomyces boulardii. Akkermansia. Has anyone tried Akkermansia? Akkermansia is a verrucomicrobia. It's a very particular phylum in the gut, and that helps really improve and stabilize blood sugar. So if you're taking probiotics, I'd love to hear anybody's responses for it. We just build it up because it's good. I haven't seen life-changing results. That's the thing about when people advertise supplements, even on here and the social media platforms. We'll have people, they'll advertise something like it's just a game changer. And I've never seen a game changer. It's usually, it's not monotherapy. It's not a single thing that helps people. It's everything across the board. Diana, you talking about the Saccharomyces boulardii? You talking about the Akkermansia? Akkermansia is AKKER, Acker, MAN, and I think it's SIA, Akkermansia. So that's a good one. Welcome in, everybody. AKK, Acker. So that'll help you a lot. So we've been talking about these probiotics. What's really interesting, and this is where people with poor focus, because a lot of people, they want to optimize their focus, their output, their cognition. They want to improve their memory. Brain health is incredibly important. This is where the gut is so critical to the brain, because the gut makes a large majority of neurotransmitters, things like serotonin and dopamine. And if those are off, you can get some focus. There's some controversial information of whether the imbalance of your neurotransmitters actually causes depression or anxiety, but we do see them in balance in those cases. And a lot of times you can take that back to the gut, right? We'll see an important thing there. But when you have disruption in the gut, in functional medicine, we say fire in the gut, fire in the brain. So we want to get those checked out. I mean, if you want to feel amazing, you want most of your body functioning the best that it can. You want all of it, technically, right? Tomorrow I'll probably talk about leaky gut, but I'm going to put the scale of vitality up in the next few mornings. Maybe one evening I'll be on. We'll talk about scale of vitality, because there's this molecular process of illness and disease, and a slow poison drip. That's what I always think about. If you have disruption, a slow disruption over a long period of time is just like drinking poison for years. It's gonna still eat away at your health, even if it's low, right? They've found people with chronic low back pain, they have degeneration in their brain from the pain. It's crazy. Diana, eosinophilic esophagitis, is Dupixent okay to take long term? All the medications come with side effects, but the outcomes with the eosinophilic esophagitis, if it's not controlled, creates a lot of damage. And so I just had a 2-year-old that had to go on Dupixent for it, but you don't want to rely on a medication for everything. You want to do everything that you can to minimize the damage, because sometimes it's just suppressing immune responses, or these immunologics, they only affect certain areas where there's still other damage occurring. But the thing about an autoimmune is it's the immune system that's disrupted. And so as much control and that you can get on the immune system, the stress that you can take off, it's important. So sometimes you have to do it. Ginger told my thyroglobulin was too high. Yeah, so thyroglobulin, I assume you mean your thyroglobulin antibodies. Those are going to interfere with your thyroid hormone production for sure. AC, is there a difference between probiotics that need to be? I'm not sure what your question is. AC, just give me a little bit of clarity on that. Diana says, my son was diagnosed at 4, he's 15, and started on Dupixent. How's he doing? I hope he's doing okay. Still want to look at these things, right? And if anybody's looking for help, if you, even you, Diana, sometimes just, do it. First of all, let me tell you, I'll always give recommendations based on our research, places to look, things to start with. But when we work with people, we do a really, really deep health history first, because we want to understand the person because everybody's so unique. So I do want to preface that, right? And help people understand, if you want to get answers, just click on the link on our bio. I have a free webinar where we talk about this, or you can book an appointment. But yeah, so yeah, you want to get things as much support as possible, especially with autoimmune AC refrigerator probiotics. There's a little bit of back and forth. A lot of your really good probiotics do not need to be refrigerators. Others, they say they recommend it. Um, Bacteria live in the earth, and the temperatures are all over the place, and your gut is like, it's damn near 100 degrees in your gut. So if gut bacteria need to be in a refrigerator, they're probably not going to survive your stomach acid and the temperature in your digestive tract. Can stress trigger autoimmune? Yeah, absolutely. Stress can trigger autoimmunity. That's actually one of the known triggers, right? Because what happens is, you have these cells. This is just one aspect. This can be one clear indication. Stress can trigger autoimmunity because you have these immune cells that they're like the conductor in an orchestra, and they're controlling the immune system. And there's a whole process that's involved using those called anergy, ANERGY, anergy. And that is your body's tolerance of itself. So your immune system don't see you as a foreign invader. But you need these T regulatory cells and these T suppressor cells to make sure that that's happening correctly. And long-term stress suppresses those cells. So the immune system, it's like a bunch of kids with no adult supervision, and they just go crazy. And that's just one mechanism. Good question. Grace, thanks for the follow. Justified Health said bacteria good, fungus is evil. There's actually some beneficial fungus. But you don't want. There's actually some really important uh, yeast. That's why people like mushrooms can be really good for our health. But I don't ever take those blindly, for sure. Cinia, you're welcome. Butterfly wings, very knowledgeable and can answer off the cuff. I am obsessed with what we do. You should see all the research on my laptop, and I'm constantly studying. But it's really been experience over the years, and I have an incredible team, and we're constantly talking about research and clinical outcomes. So we have to look at this stuff, right? So, but thanks for the compliment. Make sure you follow us, guys. If you're not following us, you need help. Click on the link in the bio. Just a real quick update, and I'll get to you, Tor. I'll get to your comment. Dr. Dan Kellams, DACM, that's Doctor of Acupuncture and Chinese Medicine. I have a specialty in integrative medicine. That's what my doctoral thesis is, I have a full medical team. They handle the medical science. I handle the nutritional and natural science. But I am obsessed about what we do. Let's see. GLP-1 messed up my gut brain health. How can I repair? You need to know how it got disrupted, because GLP-1s can slow down the gut, but we need to find out, where it disrupted it. So a really good health history. But one of the best things you can do to reactivate movement in the gut is move your body. Circulation is really important for the digestive tract. The Sideway Heart said, acromantia is good for blood sugar reading. It can be. It's supposed to be one of those things that helps stabilize blood sugar. It's supposed to help with GLP-1. And that's some of the research that they've actually done on acromantia. So I haven't seen massive changes with it. I just only see massive changes when the overall health of the gut has been improved. Okay. Good question. Thanks for all the follows, everybody. Welcome in, Nelly Pot. I'm gonna check out Nelly Pot Tea Shop. That sounds good. I love tea. What do you guys do in the morning? You know what I've been doing in the morning? Something that we have patients do is one of my favorite, like, just kind of give your gut a reset and help your body, is unsweetened cranberry juice. About 2 ounces of unsweetened cranberry juice. Put in about 6 ounces of water with a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. I like the Bragg's with the mother. These things are just really good. I use a tablespoon of lemon juice, pure lemon juice, and I like to put a tablespoon of minced ginger in there. Mix that up, and man, it's incredible for you guys. Anybody got any things that they do like that in the morning? And then I like to follow up with tea or coffee. Just get those polyphenols and those antioxidants. They're super powerful. All right, Diana, please repeat. 2 ounces. So you do 6 ounces of water. This doesn't taste delicious, by the way. It just makes you feel good. All right, so here it is. You guys ready? Here's the breakdown of my morning drink. I do 6 ounces of water, and I do a quarter of a cup of cranberry juice, about 2 ounces, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, and then 1 teaspoon of minced ginger. And it's powerful, and it's got a lot of benefits. You get the lemon juice that helps. Once your body metabolizes lemon juice, it helps alkalize the rest of the body. Some good research on that. The cranberry juice is really good for bacterial overgrowth like E. coli. The minced ginger, its carminative effect stimulates the gut, helps the gut bacteria, keeps bacteria from growing in the small intestine. It's an incredible drink. One caveat, okay? First of all, if you haven't had a lot of raw ginger is like it's got a burn to it a little bit. But apple cider vinegar, if you have any loss of the mucosa in your gut, if you have any ulcers, I'd be careful with apple cider vinegar because it can be a little erosive for somebody who already has erosion. That's why you want to dilute it. Put it in plenty of water and drink that. That should really help you guys. But it's a good drink. But one of the things, like one of my favorite snacks, afternoon snacks, that feeds the gut, feeds the brain, is frozen blueberries, peanuts, and dark chocolate. I just put a bunch of little bitty pieces of dark chocolate. You get all these polyphenols. They feed the gut bacteria. This is brain health. You're getting the healthy fats from the nuts. And then the frozen blueberries, it doesn't spike your blood sugar. Getting these polyphenols, those are some good snack options. I love looking at things like that I can just constantly feed my body and my brain. You want to keep that healthy, but to feed the brain, you got to feed the gut, right? Because that's what you're doing. And like we said earlier, the gut bacteria, those guys are eating what you're eating. So make sure you want good gut bacteria, feed them good. Because gut bacteria that can survive well on processed foods or fried foods, those you don't want those to be dominant in your gut. So thanks for the follow, Pam. Welcome in, everybody. If anybody haven't followed or liked us, give us a follow or like. And if you're looking, they don't. Oh, real quick. Do the blueberries have to be frozen? No, I just like them that way. I like them. It gives me. It's like I'm having a treat. You can eat regular blueberries too, but I love them. And sometimes I'll mix blueberries with raspberries. That's my favorite go-to is berries. Berries have all these things called anthocyanins and these polyphenols that are so incredibly powerful for the brain. Some really good research on those things. Nutrition Nook. That sounds yummy. Thanks for keeping me company on my morning walk. Yeah, have a great day. Have a wonderful day. Keep putting up good content. If you guys aren't following Nutrition Nook, give her a follow. She got some really good books on her page too. So, yeah. But yeah, give us a follow. If you're looking for help, if you're really confused, trying to understand where to start with your health, a really good health history. Somebody's going to sit down and take some time with you, get some really good and just really pinpointed labs. That's what we do. My entire integrative team does that. We love doing this with people. So you can click on the link in our bio if you're on Facebook or I think YouTube or Instagram. You can click on the links that are on there and get in contact with us. Also, there are some free webinars on there to give you some really good information. And some of you may be like, I just want to get the labs. There's also a link up there to get started with labs. Cindy, I need help with my son. We've done so many labs and tests. Finally autoimmune, but we need to know. Yeah, you need to know what's the trigger, right? Otherwise, it's going to trigger other disruption because anything that causes or triggers an autoimmune response doesn't necessarily mean it's not triggering other things, right? So getting that under control is going to be super helpful. Cindy, we would, oh my gosh, that's a lot. Cindy, I would love to help you. Click on the link. My team will guide you through the process and help us, get you under control, find some answers, start to put the pieces together, give you some clear direction. We try to remove as much of the uncertainty as possible. That's a critical piece. Thanks for the follows, everybody. Yeah, so, we've been talking about, we only got through the immune system. We've had so many questions. We've only talked about metabolites, neurotransmitters, briefly touched on hormones. We hadn't even talked about the vagus nerve. Someone asked earlier, can stress trigger autoimmunity? And we talked about exhaustion of your T regulatory cells or loss of what we call energy. Vagus nerve is a big driver, right? There was a really good study where they looked at rats that had healthy guts, and they stimulated different areas of their brain to elicit stress. And within 48 hours, most of these rats had some type of gut dysfunction, from Crohn's disease to IBS to ulcerative colitis. Some of this stuff can come from just stress, but also can come from head trauma. If you've had concussions, if you have sleep apnea, any of these types of things, they can interfere with the gut, because that's how the brain controls the gut. It's a critical piece, right? We want to make sure that brain is working. And you know what they say, the gut is the second brain. And if you guys want to hear my dad joke, it's that I wouldn't trust some of your all's guts because I've seen what's in there, right? It's true. It's a true statement. It's completely silly, but it's accurate. So the brain and the gut are such a tight connection, but we have this huge nervous system in our gut called the mesenteric or the enteric nervous system. He had a concussion in 8th grade. That could be a trigger, right? You know, everybody's heard of CTE, that chronic traumatic encephalopathy that like hockey players and football players get, people that have chronic head injuries. That's called glial priming. And it can create some really mass issues for people. It creates a lot of disruption. So I hate to hear that. It doesn't mean everybody who gets a concussion is set up for some like chronic problem, but you want to be aware of that, and then you want to do what you can to get that brain taken care of and supported. Give it some TLC. Make sure it's got the energy it needs to recover, and that's going to help you long term, right? So, welcome to the channel, everybody. If you're new, give us a follow. Give us a like. My name is Dr. Dan Kellams, doctor of Chinese medicine, specialty in integrative medicine. And we do have a full integrative medical staff. And yeah, we use natural medicine to help people figure things out. Cheeto said, I have so many gut issues and my anxiety and stress get so bad at times. Do you work with anxiety? Absolutely. You know, we don't work with the therapeutic side as far as like psychotherapy, psychological psychiatrists, that's their job. But we look at the physiological things that worsen the anxiety. And, Cheeto, you're probably not surprised, but those two go hand in hand, especially with the neuroinflammation related to gut inflammation, the loss of these neurotransmitters, and the short chain fatty acids. So we get a lot of people. We actually, no kidding, in our team meeting, I don't know if it was Monday or Tuesday. And what you guys don't know about our staff is we have a collaborative staff. We're truly an integrative collaborative team. And so every morning at 9 a.m., so I'll be getting off of here in about 6 minutes so I can jump onto that meeting, we review every case as a team. But we were just talking about a case that came into us, just severe anxiety, high cortisol. And we got her body cleaned up. We got her cortisol regulated and balanced again. And she's anxiety free for the first time in over a decade. So yeah, there's a lot that you can do, but you really want to understand the full picture of the person. Dan, and you work with patients who are on GLP-1? Yeah, absolutely. If so, do you prescribe it? The medical staff does. I don't prescribe that, but my medical staff, my nurse practitioners, Tara and Jennifer, and our MD, Dr. Minton, and then down in Tucson, our nurses and our MD, Dr. Miner, we use those regularly if it fits. But yeah, we do work with those people and work with those peptides, so we can really help you. And that's, I think those are critical, right? It's critical to understand how those are impacting the body. And some people just have super negative effects. But if you're now losing weight, there's another mechanism that's interfering with your weight loss. What I usually ask people is, where's the weight? Where are you putting on the weight? Like women, they typically will put weight on their hips where men won't. And that's typically because there's an estrogen problem. If it's cortisol, it can be like a really like watery filling fat around the lower belly. And then, you can get distended belly and a little bit more blood sugar. And then if it's thyroid, because the thyroid regulates all the cells in the body, you can get full body weight, but it could be fluid retention. There's a lot of different mechanisms. So identifying that would really help. If I book an appointment, you won't speak with me directly on the first appointment. You'll speak with my case managers, and they'll go through your health history. But what you will do is if you book an appointment, you'll first talk to my new patient coordinator. She'll make sure you're going in the right direction, get you set up with the case manager. When you do that, you're going to have to fill out all your intake paperwork. I will review that with my case manager and say, hey, these are my recommendations. Here's the questions I need you to ask. You can only book with me once you get labs. I only want to work with people that have taken that step. It just takes a lot of time away. But I have an amazing team, amazing case manager. Great question. I'm sure it's cortisol. Probably is. If you're really certain, I tell people, as much as I joke about not trusting their gut, your intuition is, for most people, is usually really on point. Can you talk a little bit more about the lab and what it shows? Well, we have different labs. It depends on what we're talking about. If we're looking at the gut lab, we'll be looking at your non-specific barriers that protect your gut, like your stomach acid, your bile acids, your pancreatic enzymes. We look at the short chain fatty acids. We measure all three. We look at the inflammatory immunological properties of the gut. We look at all the commensal bacteria and what ratios they're in. And then we look at opportunistic bacteria. And then we look at parasites and protozoans. So that's the gut test. If we're looking at blood, which is one of our foundational ones that you can directly purchase, is when we're looking at blood, we look at all the micronutrient levels. Do you have any deficiencies? We'll look at thyroid. We look at regular things like CBC and CMP, get a look at your immune system. We look at hormones there. And then we like to use the Dutch test. The Dutch test is amazing. It tells us where all your sex hormones are going. It'll tell us your 24-hour cortisol rhythm. It'll tell us if you have pathogen like indican, which is a measure of putrefaction in your gut. It'll tell us if you've depleted your glutathione. It tells us where dopamine and norepinephrine and epinephrine levels are. It'll tell us if you're metabolizing your B vitamins correctly. It'll even measure something called 8-OHDG, which is an amazing marker for oxidative stress damaging your DNA, and another one called quinolinate, which is a neuroinflammatory marker. And that, we like to get, if you let us do all the labs, we're like Oprah Winfrey. We're going to give you everything we got. We wanted to know the biggest picture. We want the clearest picture of a person before we move forward with anything. So we'll get as much clarity as you allow us to have, and then we'll give you as much direction that you wish to have with it. So it's an amazing test. It also tells us, are you metabolizing your cortisol? So thanks for everybody for being in today. If you're just jumping in, Dr. Dan Kellams, give us a like, give us a follow, share our content with people you think would help. Our job is to try to get as much knowledge out there so people are well informed about making decisions for their health. We specialize in hormones, gut health, and we work quite a bit with autoimmunity and infertility. You can click on the link in our bio. You can see some webinars. You get signed up for an appointment. You can also book or purchase labs directly for us. But thanks everybody for being a part of today. I got to head out. Vagus nerve issues, gut problems. Susan, watch our webinar. Click on the link in our bio. I got to back out, but I have one on chronic gut issues. Check it out. Get an appointment with us. We'll help you find out. We definitely jump into those. So I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Thank you all so much for your participation in the conversation. This was awesome. See everybody tomorrow. Take care, everybody.